If you haven't heard of Netflix's Adolescence yet, it's only a matter of time. It was one of the hardest series I watched in a long time. It's really draining and brings up heavy but necessary emotions and thoughts. That's why it's important for everyone to watch. This series doesn't just give you the answers, it doesn't take your hand and lead you through the good thoughts and conclusions. It gives you raw truth. Story filled with facts and emotions, ever slightly giving it an adjective to describe the attitude of the authors. And that is what makes this series and story that it tells so important. The action and consequences, the surface level truth and something that comes out of it if you take a closer look. I have gathered many interesting materials and thoughts on this series, so let's take a look. It's not going to be a spoiler-free review in a standard sense, because you know what happened right from the beginning. And the series itself is not about what happened, but how, why, and what consequences it brought. The British limited series Adolescence quietly dropped on Netflix on March 13 and has stayed in the platform's top 10 ever since. It's now the fourth most watched English-language show on Netflix, sitting just behind Dahmer, Stranger Things, and Wednesday. The story about a 13-year-old boy accused of unaliving a classmate has sparked a lot of conversation, especially in the UK. It's even been shown in schools and was recently mentioned by Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Plan B Entertainment, the production company behind the series, is now in talks about the possible follow-up. How adolescence affects you so much. So how did the series become such a phenomenon? Well, for one thing, it helps that it's exquisitely made. Every detail feels carefully thought out, from the direction to the acting to the way it's filmed. Each episode is filmed as one long, continuous shot, no cuts, no breaks. That means the camera stays with the characters the whole time, never letting you look away. It creates this raw, almost claustrophobic feeling, like you are stuck inside the moment with them. From the very first episode, it throws you right in. The police breaks down Jimmy Miller's front door, and from there, you follow everything. The car ride to the station, the awkward intake questions, the uncomfortable strip search, his dad Eddie just silently breaking down. Then comes the hardest part, the moment they show the footage. There is no dramatic music or cutaways, just a father and a son sitting in a room watching a screen that shows Jamie on CCTV. It's disturbing. Not just because of what's shown, but because of how close you're forced to be to it all. The story is playing with viewers' feelings, making them wonder if it's really the truth, how this scared boy could do something like that, why the police are pointing guns at him. It's so cruel and wrong. The writers are creating internal conflict in a viewer's head to make realization even more painful. Adolescence doesn't offer answers, but it does reflect the quiet fear that's been building in the background for years. Catastrophic in an amazing way. At the center of it all is Stephen Graham as Eddie Miller, a father whose life crumbles in an instant when armed police knocks down his front door. His 13-year-old son Jamie, played by Owen Cooper, is arrested for the unthinkable, the of a classmate. Detective Inspector Luke Bascombe, Ashley Walters, leads the investigation, but from the moment the door comes crashing in, nothing is the same again. The audience doesn't get to coast through this one. Adolescence demands full focus, no lazy scrolling or background watching here. With its unbroken shots and slow burning tension, the series forces viewers to snap out of their social media haze and actually watch. Every second counts. Graham calls his work with Thorne a Frankenstein kind of a process. He had the bones of it, the basic shape, and Thorne gave it breath, movement. Then the rest of the team stepped in and gave it heart. The idea itself came from a very real place, two tragic stings of young girls in the UK, one of them in Graham's hometown of Liverpool, left him shaken. "They hurt my heart," he says. And from that hurt came a question, a quiet, heavy one. What's going on with boys today? Not grown men, not hardened criminals, boys. Brad Pitt, through his production company Plan B Entertainment, caught wind of Graham's impressive work of the 2021 thriller Boiling Point. But here's the thing, the idea to shoot adolescents in the same one-take style wasn't Pitt's. When the team initially reached out, their pitch was a standard one. Develop a character and run with 8 one-hour episodes centered around Stephen Graham. But Graham wasn't feeling it. Instead of going with their idea, he pitched them something completely different. Can you imagine? Graham had to come up with the idea and then sell it to people who are usually stick to the old ways. It's like pitching the idea of a weekend to your friends. They wanted to go to the beach, but instead you're saying that all of you should go to watch Du Soleil's circus performance in the darkest corner of the woods. Exciting and scary at the same time. Who's in? I swear, call it divine intervention, or you know how musicians talk about tapping into the ether. I just went, but this is what I want to do. Graham says, recounting the moment adolescence took shape. And just like that, the series was born, giving 15-year-old Owen Cooper his first major acting gig and launching him into the spotlight. Philip Barantini's 4-part series, with every episode unfolding in one unbroken, carefully choreographed take, hasn't just been topping charts since its release, it's seeped into everyday conversations, into schools, living rooms, even parliament. It's rare for a show to go beyond entertainment, but Adolescence did just that. It hit nerves, hard. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer even brought it up in Parliament, saying,
"So will the Prime Minister back this campaign to counter toxic misogyny early and give young men the role models they deserve?"
Yeah. Prime Minister. Yes, and at home we are watching Adolescence with our children. I've got a 16-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl, and it's a very, very good documentary to watch, or drama. This violence carried out by young men, influenced by what they see online, is a real problem. It's abhorrent, and we have to tackle it.
And that's the thing. This isn't just a story people are watching. It's one they're feeling. Parents everywhere are feeling it, that quiet panic about what their kids are getting into online, and Adolescence hit that nerve hard. And just like that, Graham and co-writer Jack Thorne drop a question that lingers long after the episode ends. What if your child starts seeing the world through someone else's lens? Someone online, anonymous and dangerous? What if the internet doesn't just entertain or distract, but shapes them? Quietly and consistently, until you no longer recognize the kids sitting around the dinner table. Adolescence doesn't give easy answers. It just leaves you with that ache in your chest, the one that comes from realizing how little control you really have. This is an examination of male rage, a boy rage.
And you know that beautiful saying, it takes a village to raise a child? Well, I just thought, what if we're all kind of accountable? You know, the education system, parenting, the community, the government, and also when we were kids, we didn't have social media. So if we were in our rooms, when we were kids, we were either playing out in the streets, weren't we? Or we were in our rooms, like drawing pictures or playing keyboards or something. We didn't have the accessibility to all of this stuff in the world that really influences young minds. And I wanted to take a look at it. I'm not blaming anyone. I just thought maybe we're all accountable and we should, have a conversation about it.
Adolescence doesn't pull its punches. At its core, it quietly dissects every parent's deepest fear, not just the idea of their child doing something unthinkable, but of becoming someone they don't recognize. Jamie isn't just a troubled teen, he's being shaped, bit by dark corners of the internet. The show traces how online misogyny, especially the toxic manosphere, can sink its teeth into boys who feel lost, angry, and invisible. It's not loud or preachy, just quietly horrifying. Jamie, bullied by girls at school and left to stew online, finds warped logic in dangerous places. There's one scene, a quiet conversation with a psychologist, where Jamie justifies not assaulting his victim by comparing himself to what most boys would have done. It's chilling, not because he's shouting, but because he genuinely believes he did the right thing.
Often people speak about men who have issues with women as if these men need therapy. So men who have misogynistic attitudes, who objectify women, who dehumanize women, are told to go to therapy. And this is what happens when men and boys that hold very deeply ingrained misogynistic attitudes go to therapy. This is Jamie, who's in this movie, 13 years old. This is from episode 3 of Adolescence on Netflix. 13 years old, and this is how he's treating his therapist. He's attempting to intimidate her. At other parts of this session, he's attempting to get her validation, attempting to get her to say that she likes him, that she thinks he's attractive. This is what happens in therapy, and this is why therapy is not appropriate for men and boys who have these attitudes. Misogyny is a sociological issue. That means that in order to effectively deal with this behavior in men, there have to be social consequences from other men for men who have these issues. What that looks like is a man says to another man, if you don't pay your child support, you can't hang out with me. That's not what we're going to do. If you put your hands on your wife, then no, I'm not dealing with it. I know you cheated on your wife. I'm not coming to your wedding. I'm not dealing with this. I'm not doing this because you are not treating women well. Therefore, you can't hang out with me. And then the pushback that I get from that is creating those consequences would alienate these men. I think it would require them to behave in a certain way because men crave other men's approval more so than they care about the opinions of women. Once again, misogyny cannot be treated in mental health.
The long-term impact of adolescence is still up in the air. It's barely been out for a month. But the conversation is sparked about social media and its influence on youth is already significant. Thorne, who's spoken out in favor of social media ban for kids under 16, like the one in Australia, sees this as a crucial step. Australia is much more masculine culture than the UK, and they're implementing it. They are willing to have the conversation, he says. The question remains, will the rest of the world be ready to follow through? He adds that the impact of social media on young people, particularly boys, is a crisis that demands immediate attention, with no room for half measures. We need to tackle this head-on, he says, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. The question now is whether society will rise to the challenge before it's too late. That's a really tough question to discuss, and teenagers, of course, will be against it. My generation is the one who was growing with internet and social media, going through all of the stages, even having the new era smartphones with buttons. I'm telling you, it was really hard to type in the message. But anyways, with the rise of AI and so many extremist movements, it's crucial to protect children and teenagers from this influence and really give them a chance for a childhood without constant scrolling and social anxiety. Brad Pitt's Plan B production company is in discussions with director Philip Barantini about a potential second season, which they're calling the next iteration of the show. Plan B's co-president says they aim to widen the aperture, stay true to its DNA and not be repetitive. What we should take away from this is that the show likely won't circle back to Jamie and his trial or prison time. The next iteration suggests the focus will shift, probably to another teen, likely a girl this time, if they plan to keep the name Adolescence. It could explore a whole new story with different kind of crime or trauma, but still grounded in the themes of youth and the impact of modern culture. It's important to remember how everything came together for the first season of Adolescence. It was truly carried by powerhouse performances, especially from co-creator Stephen Graham, who of course wouldn't return for a new story, and the breakout Owen Cooper, making his acting debut as Jamie. That kind of magic with a fresh talent like Cooper is hard to replicate and definitely set the bar high for anything that follows. This movie has kind of broken something in me and at the same time built up emotions I didn't know I had. I didn't want to believe it. It felt like it can't be true. The emotions, the fear. There's this moment when we just have to face it, not look away, because that's what's going on in the real world right now as we speak. I know that most of my audience are young people, most of them probably don't have kids yet or don't even want them. There are also people who have kids or have grown-up kids, and just people who don't really think about those things. But we all have to put our attention into it, not look away. Yes, our world is changing and so are we. There are so many things that we cannot change or influence, but this is one of the things that we can and should influence. Turn attention of those around us and help them to understand and fight. Do you know that most people are really biased and have stereotypical reactions in the face of danger or unpleasant situations? I caught myself thinking while watching episode 1, it can be. It's not true. It's hard to believe something that horrible, especially if you see police officers pointing guns at Kit and shouting at him. I was really hoping it would be just some kind of fancy detective story with unpredictable twist, but it was not. And that is what's horrifying. And yet, till third episode, I couldn't believe it, rationalizing the crime and thinking that it just can't be because it's just a kid. But that is the problem. That is exactly the problem. Because the teenagers are so flexible and so easily influenced. Especially nowadays, with the growth of AI, with those influencers, with people constantly telling you what to do. Even fully grown adults still believe in all kinds of nonsense, conspiracy theories, fake facts, and everything that's been thrown at us. And even those who consider themselves being really highly educated are biased towards the stereotypes because we are wired that way. When it comes to something that's been in our minds, connected to our trauma and past life experiences, we tend to believe it more often. And what I really want you to understand, that many different things are in our hands. We can help those around us. We can help ourselves to understand more, to prevent those things from happening, but just simply paying attention to what we or our loved ones consume on the internet. Watch only good movies, those which give you perspective.
So do you think it would be okay if we speak about it? I haven't done anything. You're a good dad, a great dad.
He hasn't been found guilty, he's been accused.